believe this is the last manual V8 on sale in Australia. Well, it might not be the last, but it is currently the only manual V8 on sale in Australia. I was checking out Redbook the other day and scrolled back to 1995, and there were 10 manual V8s available on sale in Australia. And I'm including the Ford Falcon as one, the Holden Commodore as one, so there were various HSVs and so on. But yeah, there were at least 10 different manual V8s. It's crazy how times have changed, but I just don't understand, because this is so appealing, it's enjoyable. I guess SUVs have become so practical that they've taken over in Australia. But it's so good that Ford still offers the Mustang. I think the new car market would be just more boring if this wasn't available, you know? So it's good that Ford has been able to continue the manual V8 with a manual transmission as well. This is the Dark Horse version, which is kind of like the greatest hits of the modern Mustang, or the current generation Mustang. It's got various little tweaks, such as Brembo brakes, unique 19-inch staggered width wheels with 275s on the back and 255s on the front, heaps of grip. And it's also got a unique 6-speed Tremec transmission compared with the GT's Getrag transmission. The action, or the throw of the gears, is a bit shorter, but this is a much heavier gearbox as well, heavier duty, sorry, gearbox as well. It is a little bit notchy, especially going from third to second, but it is, yeah, more heavy duty, so it can withstand a good thrashing better than the standard Getrag. And if you are looking to upgrade, like add a supercharger or something like that, then this Tremec is going to handle it, or it is going to handle it better anyway. I've got it in race mode at the moment. The Dark Horse comes with Magna-Ride suspension, so adaptive dampers. And this is a pretty poor road, like it's got bumps and ripples all over it. And this thing is just ironing over really nicely. It's not throwing me about, but it's still mitigating body roll and all of that negative stuff that you don't want when you're doing some sporty driving. It does have a Torsen limited slip differential as well, so it won't spin the inside wheel, and can also drift it a little bit as well if you want to. The gearing is a little bit shorter in the Dark Horse with the Tremec, but it's still got long gears. You know, that was third gear, and it just pulls really nicely. It's great for a racetrack or a bit more of an open road. On this tight, winding road, it's probably not ideal, but still lots of fun. You can just leave it in second or third and just go for a nice thrash. You don't have to change gears too much. But yeah, it feels so good to drive a manual V8, rear-wheel drive. Revs to over 7,000 RPM. It is a little bit monotone, the sound, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't change all that much. It's like a growly, bellowing, yeah, deep bellowing growl. And higher up in the rev range, it kind of sounds the same, just a sort of, yeah, higher tempo. But it's a lovely sound anyway. Like, it's proper V8 muscle, you know. It does have automatic rev matching available. I've got it switched off at the moment. It's got launch control. It's even got a line lock function, so you can do a burnout at the drag strip or whatever. This is a proper driving enthusiast car. It's not quite as sharp as some sports cars, but it's definitely the sharpest Mustang that I've driven. The front end features firmer springs compared with the GT, so it just bites in a bit harder. It's got better response, it's a bit sharper. Your steering feels nice as well. It feels mechanical, it's engaging. I can kind of got a really good understanding of what the front tyres are doing. But yeah, that sound is just magnificent. Like, it really adds to the overall engagement of going for a drive for the sake of going for a drive. It goes really well, as you'd expect. The Dark Horse has 2 more kilowatts compared with the GT, so 349 kilowatts. That's about perfect for a vehicle like this. You know, you can always supercharge it or something if you want massive power, but I think this is nicely balanced. I'll just show you. We'll take off in first gear and I'll give it full throttle. That's full throttle. Like, it just does a nice little chirp into second. It doesn't spin out of control. That's why I reckon the power is perfect. Like, it's nicely balanced. Excellent lateral grip going around that sharp left-hander. It's a little bit wet here. I've got the stability control completely turned off. It does go into a kind of racetrack mode when you're in race mode. It allows a little bit of slip, but you've got to hold the button down to turn it completely off. Awesome torque. That's pulling in third gear up this hill. So you can actually just leave it in third for most of this sort of condition. But changing down gears, you know, you've got to have that revving sound. It's awesome. I guess the best thing about the Mustang is that it's such a cool car to go for a drive in. If you've got nothing to do on the weekend, you can just take this for a drive for the sake of going for a drive. I love that. Not many new vehicles on the market today are designed for that, or they're just not very good at it. You know, they're great for transport, great for carrying the kids and all that. This is excellent for just going for a drive. Even when you're just cruising along, it's got a theatre about it, it's got a drama about it, and it is engaging. You can play with the gearbox, for example. Give it a rev as you're changing down. You know, it's got that extra theatre about it that's just makes it overall more enjoyable than most of the stuff on the new car market. In terms of fuel economy, I'm averaging 15.6 litres per 100 at the moment, but I did see that drop down as low as 13 with more regular driving in the suburbs and so on. I think it's actually pretty good. For a big V8, 5 litre V8s, I think it's actually not too bad. The fuel tank does seem like it's pretty small though. I'll flash up the exact figure now, but yeah, it does seem to sort of drop quickly, but then you fill it up and it's not actually that expensive, or you put $50 in it or something and it fills it up quite a bit. So yeah, if they fit a larger fuel tank, I think it would be better as a cross-country tourer. But as it is, I reckon it's pretty good on fuel. This is a sports car. It's got 350 odd kilowatts. You know, it's going to use a bit of fuel. All right, let's head out now and do the performance test and see what it goes like. this time I'll just try a full aggressive, smoking it away.